Have you ever wondered why a mechanic is so expensive to go to? They charge 110 bucks an hour to work on your car, and the mechanic's not making that much. Well, I've been a mechanic for 10 years, and I'm going to tell you why. So let's say you take your car or truck in to get worked on at the local shop. It needs an alternator. They quote 2 hours. They charge 100 bucks an hour. And you're thinking, this place must make a killing. They charge you 100 bucks an hour. Let's say they have 6 mechanics. If you work out the numbers, since an average guy working 40 hours a week over the course of a year works a little bit over 2,000 hours. So we'll just say 2,000 hours flat. So each mechanic at 100 bucks an hour brings the company $200,000. So if they had 6 of them, that would be a total of $1,200,000. And that's a medium-sized small shop, 6 mechanics. Now, obviously, the shop doesn't keep all of that earnings. Now, I think you'll be surprised at how little the shop actually keeps at the end. So let's say the mechanic makes a quarter of what they charge an hour. Let's say the mechanic makes $25 an hour. That's not how much the mechanic costs. Okay, the mechanic costs a lot more than that. They say usually 30 to 40% more. And why is that? Well, mechanics need uniforms. Mechanics have health insurance. There's Social Security, which the employers have to pay. They have to pay half of it. The employee has to pay half of it. Same with Medicare. Employer has to pay half. Employee has to pay half. Not only that, the employer has to pay for holidays off. They have to pay for vacation days. There's also times when mechanics aren't working. If they're slow, if they're looking at parts for a long time or something, or the job goes over and it was a quoted job, they have to cut down that amount of labor. So if the mechanic was making he's making 25 bucks an hour, after you account for the extra 40%, they're really making closer to like 30, they cost the company about $34 an hour. So you went from $100 an hour, you've already been down to $66 an hour take home for the business because the mechanic has cost you $34 an hour. Now, some mechanics, they pay less, some they pay more. But I think about a quarter of what the shop rate is about fair. So moving on from that, not done deducting yet, you capitalist pig. So the business employs not only just the mechanics, there's usually a service writer and a shop supervisor. If it's a real small shop, it might just be one and the same person. Service writers usually make a little bit less. Shop supervisors usually make about the same or a little more than the mechanics. If you take their salaries and then spread it over the hours worked by the mechanics, it ends up costing the company about $67 an hour per hour charged. So, let's subtract another $7 from that amount. So that takes it from 66 bucks down to 59 bucks per hour that the company is keeping out of that 100. Now, there are a ton of little charges that just eat a business alive. You have to rent the building or own the building, or lease the building. You're in the shop. Workers' comp's crazy expensive. Not only that, the mechanic field is more of a dangerous field, so workers' comp is based on how likely your employees are to be injured. So if you're an accounting firm, you're going to have a low risk of injury. If you're doing underwater welding or something like that, it's going to be extremely high risk of injury. And mechanics are more towards the higher end, just because a lot of, leaning over, heavy lifting, slips, trips, stuff like that. Not only that, there's utilities associated with running a shop. There's a ton of shop equipment costs. You have all those lifts, you have air compressors, you have coolant pumps, you have oil pumps. Even after you purchase these items, they're going to wear out. They're going to need maintained. And they're really expensive. One lift might be $12,000, which if you take the 1.2 million, $12,000 is 1% of that. So pretty much 12,000 is 1% of that business, gross profits. What else? There's advertising. There's liability insurance. Not only that, some customers don't want to pay their bills or they're going to haggle, so you have to reduce that rate down. If you account for all these, you've just knocked off another $11 per 100, because that's a huge portion of your business expenses. So it goes from about $59 that you were keeping down to $48. So, you're giving that business $100 per hour. They're only keeping 48 as profits. But that's not all. Let's not forget about Uncle Sam. So, you might be surprised to find out that the federal corporate income tax for profits is 34% for a small business. 34%. That's just the federal. Most states have their own. So let's say the state has a 6% income tax on corporate earnings. And most businesses are corporations due to the ability to reduce liability. So that's 40% total. Federal is 34, state 6, we'll just say. Some are less, some have none, some have more. So that's 40% off the earnings, which comes up to about $19 for every 100 made. So that drops it all the way down to about $28-29. So you're paying $100 after all the deductions that business takes. It's only making $28-29 on every hour charge. So it's going from $1.2 million, $1.2 million, $1,200,000 income every year. Its profits are somewhere around $340,000. So they're losing a lot of that. So don't think they're screwing you over with these, $100,000 or not $100,000, with these $100 an hour shop rates, $110 hour shop rates. They seem to go up every year. Some are $120. That's why they have to charge that highest shop rate, because it's a business. It has to make a profit. Not only that, all these numbers are assuming that the business is busy, 100% busy, 6 guys all the time. There's dips, especially in a mechanic field, where there's not a lot of work, or there's very little work. Sometimes guys will go home without pay. Sometimes they're getting paid to mop the floors. It's a low margins business. So when you go in there to get your car fixed, don't think they're trying to screw you over. That's just how the industry is. And I think you'll see by watching this video that that's pretty much a fair price that they're charging you. All right, thank you.